Page 76, study. Now, this music here on page 76 and the music on the next two pages, page 77, 78, they're all sort of studies. They're all short musical pieces where we get to focus on the process of learning a piece of music. How do I explain? There's not a process. There is no the process. Everybody has their own system, their own process, their own method. That the one I use in my videos is one that I've used over the years. I've just gotten used to it. I've learned it and developed it over the years, studying under different teachers. You'll have your own. Change whatever you feel you need to change when you feel you need to change it. But the process we're talking about is whatever process you use or plan of attack, approach, to learn a new piece of music. A student asked me a while back, would you do a video on how to go about learning a new piece of music? And I said, well, it's basically every video. It's the process. Sometimes I call it my process. It's not my process. It doesn't belong to anybody, but it's one I use. So if I say my process, it means process that I use. So let's back up a little bit. You got a brand new piece of music. It helps, depending on the music, to have some plan of attack on how to go about learning the music. What you do in this plan of attack depends on the music. I use a series of steps. I kind of build it up because I can't focus on everything all at once if the music is halfway challenging. Now, if the music is real easy, this is easy for me, I could do all the steps all at the same time because I've been doing, it's not a problem. But if the music is challenging for me, I have to build this up one step at a time, and I slowly get the process worked out, or slowly get the music worked out. So we're going to focus on the process as much as the music here on these pieces. The words they give you, they say, identify the key of each example. The example they're talking about are, you see the little number at the beginning of the grand stuff? On this page, it's a 1, and on the next page, there's a 2 and a 3. That's what they're talking about. These are their examples. These are just bits and pieces of the whole piece. I mean, the actual music the composer wrote is much longer than this. This is just a little bit of it. It's an example. That's what. And they want you to identify the keys. I identify the keys anyway. It's part of the process. So we'll talk about that when I get to it in the process. They're telling you to use the indicated tempo, dynamics, and articulation. Well, again, that's part of the process. So we'll get there too. They want you to tap the right hand and count aloud. Yuck, you can do that. I do that. That's dealing with rhythm. If you're having problems with the notes and getting the notes and the rhythm both, what I do first is I get the notes and forget the rhythm. I just get the notes. And then once I have the notes figured out, then I can go back and add the rhythm. So I do that one at a time. Most of the time I can do both, the notes and the rhythm at the same time. But if you have to, you split it up. Then they want you to tap the hands together. Oh, goody. That's like learn it one hand at a time and then put the hands together. Now, I don't do any tapping. I just play the music. As far as counting out loud, if you want to count out loud, you go right ahead. It gets kind of noisy. I only count to figure out what the rhythm is. Once I know what the rhythm is and I can feel it, I don't count them anymore. I just feel the rhythm. But you want to make sure you're counting carefully when you're first learning it to make sure you get the correct rhythm. I mean, when it's all quarter notes, or mostly, that's not too hard. But when the rhythm starts getting tricky, look out. So let's go through this process that I typically use and teach in most all my videos. Now let's do this piece, this first one. First, I like to look it over because I like to have an idea of about how long it is. Because some pieces could be 25, 30 pages long. I just want an idea of how long it is. It's like, what am I getting into here? And repeat signs and whatnot can make it longer, but I'm not interested in that right now. Just overall, how long is it? This is one line long. I look at the clef signs, because you never know. They could be 2 treble clefs, 2 bass clefs, or treble and bass like this. Just get into the habit of checking the clef signs. And they can change in the piece, but I'm not concerned about that either. Just at the beginning, what are they? And then the key signature. What key is it in? Now this has no sharps or flats in the key signature, so right now it's either in C major or A minor, because those are the 2 keys with no sharps or flats. See, before in the book I would say, okay, it's in C major. That's only because we didn't get into minors yet. Now that we're getting into minors, now we got to consider both. Is it the major or the minor with the same key signature? C major has no sharps or flats. This is white keys. And the relative minor, if you want to know what the same minor is with the same key signature, that's the relative minor. Just go down 3. From C, go down 3. 1, 2, 3. It's an interval of a third. Down. A, so A minor is the relative minor to C major. That means A minor has no sharps or flats either. It's the white keys. Now there's different kinds of minors. Let's start. I'm not here to teach minors right now. I just want you to understand when you look at the key signature, it could be major or minor. You don't know, but you've narrowed it down to 2 possibilities, C major or A minor. So now, which is it? Well, actually the most reliable way is simply play the piece because the harmonies sound different. C major or A minor. They sound different. The harmonies sound different. And as you play the piece, you can see, okay, is this a major harmony or a minor harmony? A lot of times, not all times, a lot of times, you can simply look at the end because a lot of pieces will end on their one chord. So a key in C major would end on its C chord, or C, there'd be a C somewhere in it. And the key of A major would end on an A chord. So look at the end. Last measure, we're here. We're on A's. I'm guessing we're in A minor here. So that settled that right quick. Huh? Some people look at the beginning and say, well, what does it begin on? The problem is it doesn't have to begin on its one chord. It could begin on anything. But most of the time it will end on its one chord, although it doesn't have to. You can always go back and play it and listen to the harmony. Which is it? So why is it important to know the key? What do we care? Just play the notes in the music and go on. Stop bothering me with this junk. Okay, let me bother you with some junk. When I play music, I have found it over the years through experience, trial and error, much easier to play the right notes if I can play the scale in that key. Because learning the scale of a key tells me what notes are in the key. C major is all the white notes. If I can play the C major scale and I'm accustomed to which notes are in C major, same with A minor. So when I see the key signature in the music, I simply play the notes in that key, and that's why it's important. Now it still doesn't matter if it's A major, or if it's C major or A minor, because they use mostly the same notes. There's a little difference in the minor because minor may have some accidentals where the major won't. It could have, but typically won't. So it's just overall when things get tricky, it's so much easier to play the music if you just play the notes in the key. This is in A minor. Let's go on. Other than that, it gets more into interpretation. You might interpret something in a minor key a little different than a major key. It depends on the music. Minor keys generally are sadder or more mysterious or something. You might feel that. A major key, you might be a happier. Doesn't have to be. There's all kinds of exceptions to this. Right now, we want to be able to identify the key, and we have to consider the major and the minor. So we got the key signature, and then the time signatures 3/4 time. Now sometimes I'll look over and see the notes within it, but you don't really have to. Kind of depends on how tricky the music is. Do I really understand everything I'm seeing here? Quarter notes and dotted half notes, okay, I understand those. We're okay. Because if there's stuff in here I don't understand what it is, I'm stuck. I gotta go find out what it is, or I'll never learn this piece correctly. However, if you choose not to look it over, that's fine too. Then I go through if the hands are playing together and I play it one hand at a time to make sure I got the notes, the fingering, and the rhythm. Right now it's not too bad because we're not really moving around too much, but when we start moving around, fingering becomes incredibly important. Fingering can make or break a piece, or it can take a passage that's rather tricky and difficult. With the correct fingering, you can actually make it rather easy. Fingering is important. So it's not just any old finger on any old key. We're in 5-finger positions for a while, and that's fine. We'll just stay there. So here, the right hand. You could start with the left hand, doesn't matter, but I start with the right. Third finger's on C, excuse me. I know that's a C, leave me alone. And that puts the hand here. I don't need these other finger numbers, and in my opinion, you need to cross them out. Please don't be reading finger numbers. If you're in the habit of reading the finger numbers, you're headed for a real tough time in the near future, because when we start moving around, the fingers are going to be on different notes. So the finger number isn't going to help you any. You need to know what the note is. So you need a number at the beginning to tell you where to put the hand. That's fine. But once I'm there and I know I'm not moving, and I know I'm not, and you know you're not because I just told you so, you don't need the other finger numbers. You need to remember which key each finger is on. Sometimes you got to look down because you forget which finger is on which key. That's okay. But as time goes on, you'll get better at it, at remembering. So we're here. Then I just play them. And I'm assuming you know the names of the notes now. If you don't, we got problems. 2, 3, 1. I'll play through. And I do the same with the left hand. And there are fingers on the middle C here, and so that puts the hand here. And I do that with the left hand, make sure I can play it okay. And then once I can do each hand, I do them together to see how they go. Now, when I first put the hands together, a lot of times I hesitate. That's okay. I don't care right now. I'm just trying to get a feel for which fingers in each hand are working together. The middle finger start, but then I got ring and index, and then here, and then here. And see, as I'm doing that, so I go through and I put the hands together, and then I go back over it, and this is what can take weeks or months, depending on the music. I've spent months on some pieces doing this part, and that is getting rid of the hesitations. Because the beat needs to be a steady beat, start to finish, with a few exceptions. Hesitations are an absolute no-no. Get rid of them immediately. Don't think, oh, that was just a minor hesitation, I'll fix it later. There is no fix it later. It becomes part of your playing. It becomes a habit to hesitate there. And then when you're performing the piece, even though you fully intend not to hesitate, you will hesitate because you've practiced the hesitation. You've allowed it to stay. So get rid of the hesitations. These need to be steady notes, start to finish. No hesitations anywhere. Doesn't matter how long it takes. At least not to me it does. If you have a schedule, it might. And I'm connecting everything at this point. Up to now, I've connected all the notes. And the reason for that is because of the fingering. And I'll talk more about fingering in the future. This lesson's getting to be a bit long, so let's keep moving. And once I have the notes and the rhythm, no hesitations, then I add articulation or whatever it is. And here, all they have are the phrases. So we're going to connect the notes until the dotted half notes. Then to go to the next measure, we're going to lift up. Just a little lift, like taking a breath. So the dotted half note gets just cut short, just a little bit to come up, because the C's have to be on beat 1. So I put in the phrasing. It's the only articulation there is. So then I go on to the dynamics. MF at the beginning is mezzo forte, is sort of loud, and you have to decide what that is. Not loud, just sort of loud. Okay, so then I do the dynamics. It's the only dynamic given. Then after that we add the speed, andante. Andante, well again, people don't agree on andante. Big surprise. Some people say andante is slow. I disagree. I don't think andante is slow. To me, andante is like a casual stroll. You're just kind of strolling along, not really headed anywhere, just going along. Whatever that is. Don't stroll too slowly, though. It needs to flow. So about a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's fine. Whatever. It's not a set value, it's a range of values. It depends on how much coffee or wine I've had to drink as to how fast or slow I'm going to stroll. So please don't copy me. I hesitate playing these because I don't want you copying me. I want you to be able to read the music and discover what it sounds like yourself if you have it. There's a lot more I can say on this, but this lesson is being too long, so I'm going to do the other stuff on the other lessons. I'll just add more and more. There's just a lot. I could spend an hour on a piece like this, just getting into everything. Now under this, there is a note to transpose it to G minor. G minor has two flats. It's relative minor to B flat major. B flat major here is two flats. And you would know that if you knew the scale, but we'll get there eventually, I hope. But if you go down a third, 1, 2, 3, and by that I mean the notes within the scale. B flat, otherwise they're all white keys except B flat and E flat. So it's here, 1, 2, 3, and go down a third. That tells you the relative minor. So B flat major, its relative minor is G minor. G minor then has two flats, B flat and E flat. So if we're in the position, G minor position, is the only black key we're going to use is the B flat. So that's part of the position. And here you're just basically using the same fingers. Get the idea? Okay. You can transpose it to any key for that matter, but let's go on. At the end of most all my videos, I have a play with me section. This is so you can play it along with me slowly and check to make sure you have the correct notes and the correct rhythms. You should play the same note I'm playing when I play it. If you have a teacher, then the play with me section of the video is not that important because the teacher will tell you if you get something wrong, I hope. They're supposed to. But if you don't have a teacher, then you need something to tell you, did you get it right or not? At least the notes and the rhythms. And that's what this is for. So I'm going to give us 3 counts because the count I give is based on the time signature. 3 beats in a measure, I'll give us 3 counts. 1 ready, go. And we're not performing it, we're just checking notes and rhythms. But I will do the articulation. I'll lift up for the phrasing. I just don't do the dynamics. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, off.